Let's kick off this week's AMA. Hope everybody is doing well. I missed you all last week, but I am back. So, this week we are going to dive right on in, and we're going to start off with some of the serious stuff and then get into some of the more game-related stuff afterwards. So we're going to kick off this week with a question for Dreamer. And that question is around essentially our runway slash treasury slash burn rate and any kind of insight that you can share on that front.
Hi, everybody. Happy to be back as well. I think I've missed the last 2 weeks AMAs with traveling and other things. 3XP was really successful. I think happy to see some of the community there. Bummed that I missed some of the AMAs, but happy to be here for this one to kick us off with some of the more serious stuff. So burn rate, runway, and others. We've given updates related to these questions in the past. It's not a static number, both on like inflows and outflows. So we really are careful to say like we have X amount of burn rate. There are many projects that are funded prior to building anything, and they identify burn rate and they identify capital raised from external investors, and they do the math and they just say we won't change the burn, the protocol is done, and this is how much we have to last. So I think these questions often come from people that try to compare maybe apples to oranges a bit. Whereas, DeFi Kingdoms initially, there was no real raise, and the actual protocol has sustained much of the building and all the activities that we do. We have been thinking through the bear market to navigate an external raise. That is continuing to progress. We think about these things almost every day and have meetings every week looking at what is the market doing? What's happened with the regulatory environment? How is the actual VC funding environment looking? What are some other sources of either revenue or income or grant or build incentives we can consider? So I can report that those things are continuing to be in focus, but I can't really give like a static, this is how much money we have, this is our burn, and we're not going to make any decisions, and we will have this amount of runway because we adjust all of them. I can report there are some interesting things in the pipeline that hopefully in the next couple of weeks we can see some progress on. We also have some long-term things that have been mentioned before around, actual equity raise in Kingdom Studios that have been progressing. We also just all have to be realistic. If we do our own research and how the world is reacting to a lot of the like regulatory changes and lawsuits and other things happening, it does change all of these factors constantly, sometimes good, sometimes bad. So this is not meant to be a non-answer. It's meant to be a consistent answer with the past, where we're not going to put out everybody's like paychecks and total burn amount and everything publicly. One, because it's a lot to potentially misunderstand out of context. And two, they're always changing. And three, privacy is a thing for our developers and everything as well. The last thing I'll say that I don't think we mentioned as much in the past, that's just very obvious for anybody paying attention. The fees that we receive are based on volume in the game and also based on the overall price of those tokens. So we are acknowledging that there is a reduction in strength on that front, but there's also some really awesome things on the horizon that can help with other sources of capital and funds to pay for things. So I will leave it there, but I'll also pause for anybody else on the call that would like to add to this topic, since it's a very important one, and I don't want to give the perception that we're trying to not be transparent in any way. It's a really tough environment. It has been for a long time. There are new things that keep kicking people while they're down. It affects everybody. I've even seen some, talk and things in back channels of VCs being very active and others looking to deploy capital, but not following through, and some even reneging. So we're not really trusting any source of capital to be the only source. We're looking at all directions right now. We have a lot of lines in the water and some exciting things in the works. I'll pause for others.
That's my cue. I'm others. I just wanted to do a quick shout out to Dreamer. He's been like basically working crazy hours like the past year, but especially over like the past few months, he's been really amazing, heading out to all these events and like really networking and speaking and like repping us to all these people and really like making really good connections, which has really started to pay off a lot in terms of like stuff that like we can do with partnerships and events and opportunities there. So shout out to him. He's been really great on that front, and he has that expertise on on like all those fronts as well. So I'm really happy and feeling blessed that he's on our team for that. Um, we've said since uh, over a year ago, like when like the bear market was starting to set in, that like our plan is to build up or down, and that's still our plan. That hasn't changed. A lot of us have like had to make sacrifices and things, and there's been adjustments and stuff like that. But we're all uh, everyone on our team is just so amazing and like really really great to work with, and I'm very happy to work with them. And one of the things I love about it is everyone's really really like excited and like really passionate about this project and like really pours their hearts into it. So um, I'm here to build, and I think all of us are here to build, and we're going to make sure that we're able to continue that. So that's what I'll say.
I'll just add briefly, in the bear market, you really see the teams and the people and the protocols that are the real deal. Like we are meeting with partners that have the same dedication and vision and staying power that we do. And we're partnering with people that are investing their products and their services, stuff they would usually, charge great amounts for, but doing it and investing in us as a partnership. And so I've just really enjoyed that part. It's part of what drives me every day in this job is to really find those people that have that same mentality and that can really see the possibilities and the vision. And yeah, and another thing is just like going to things like 3XP and really meeting like the amazing community members. For example, this last time they came out, they have the same passion and vision that we do, and to be around like-minded people like you all really keeps us going as well. So thanks.
Appreciate it. I'll just tag in one last comment, and that's just, I think you all know that we try to be as transparent as we possibly can be pretty much at all times. So, I know this is a topic that we can't be as transparent about, but it's not a matter of, not wanting to inform people, but there's things that can't be said until things are done. Especially when we're talking about, finances and, working with other people and partners and whatnot. Those conversations come with an expectation of privacy. And so it's not a matter of not wanting to inform our community. It's a matter of not being able to until things are further along. So just wanted to throw that out there as well. All right. Unless anybody has anything else, we'll hit the next question. All right, which is so we've talked about the legal opinion several times, and we reported that we had received it back. And so there's a question of will we be releasing that publicly to the community / anybody else who wants to read it?
I can take this one too. Yeah, we were very happy to really submit that request when we did, with what couldn't have been really foreseen with the lawsuits with Binance and Coinbase right now. A lot of other exchanges or even just partners are asking if we have one. And it took, I don't know, 2 months total, maybe a little bit more. So we kind of would have been behind others. But we have that complete. We have sent it to at least 1 or 2 of our partners so far. And in doing so, we learned that the agreement itself has something in there that says we need to notify our lawyers, the lawyers that generated it, of anybody that receives it, likely because, I'm speculating here, but maybe they look at it as their own IP. It can be copied and pasted, and you change out other things and maybe forge signatures. I don't know. I have no idea why, but I think that those are some good reasons to speculate on. However, we're contractually obligated to notify them of every party that receives it. So if we make it known publicly, I don't know how that'd work. I guess you'd have to get everybody's names and send them to our lawyers. I don't know. However, we are going to ask questions on like, hey, how much can we talk about? Because I think it'd be really cool to at least give an overview of the strengths and the things that went towards like a positive view on Jewel not being a security, which is the whole purpose of the opinion. So we can report back on that, but very unlikely or maybe even impossible on the way that we've interpreted the opinion so far of being able to just like post it up in its current form. Maybe they'll come back and be like, here's a redacted template that we could be okay with. So we go and redact all the things that we don't want or watermark. I'm not sure. So that's the update on it, though. Was complete. Was a good opinion. Has been very timely and has been helpful so far. We'll come back and more that we can share.
Photoshop ruins everything. All right. On to a different type of question. We actually talked about this one a couple weeks ago, but I'm going to resurface it just for anybody that missed it. Multi-in-game token bridging to be able to either select multiple tokens to bridge at once or queue up transactions, that type of thing. Magnus, you want to take that one?
Yeah, sure thing. So we're in the progress of or in the process of basically like adding multi functions to pretty much everything in the game. That one is on our list. It's just a lower priority item at the moment, but yeah, it's definitely possible. There's solutions on the front end where like similar to the quest queuing stuff, and then there's also things we do in the contract to open that up and just kind of loop the existing thing and give different options for different tokens and the amounts and things like that. One of the kind of things we have to be careful with is the transaction, like hitting the block gas limit on the other side, and like DFK Chain and Clayton have two different block gas limits there, so we have to take that into consideration and kind of go with the lower one. And then Clayton's also got the complexity limit, computation limit as well as another kind of bounding factor, so we'd have to keep it somewhat restrained in order to do that. But yeah, definitely possible. Just have to calculate some of those factors because we don't want like items stuck in the bridge or like transactions that like can never be replayed. Layer 0 does have a cool feature to replay transactions, but if it can't be completed, it runs into issues. And so, yep, a lot of factors to weigh in, but definitely possible.
Appreciate it, Magnus. All right. Question for the good old Hubert. So thoughts on Eternal Story page 10. First off, if you have any thoughts on Win page 10, but also if you would like to elaborate at all on what the original plan for the story pages were.
Hey guys, yeah, sure. I guess I'll start with the second part of that, which is the original plan. Back then, this was like over a year ago. Our team was a lot larger, and we had a dedicated lore person on the team as well. Jax was his name. And just as a part of kind of building out the game world, we wanted to also increase the lore content in the game, and had the idea of using the Eternal Pages as a way of introducing more parts of like the history of DeFi kingdoms into the game, and having kind of the 10th page or the 20th page be something that was acquired through more like limited content, like tournaments. And then being able to like turn in a full set of those pages to make like a book or a tome with all of the different pages all contained within it. So that was kind of the original plan. That tome would be like an NFT that you could have. There were some other plans of like benefits you could get by having that tome. And at this point, I think it's become a much lower priority for us to like focus on the pages. We still do want to get the page 10 out. Still thinking of it being something that's released through tournaments and still having a limited quantity, though that the quantity is likely going to be higher by the time we get that out, just because of how many of the pages 1 through 9 have come to exist. And think there's some other things that we've been talking about for ways those pages could be used for other things as well. But it's all kind of dependent on us getting more of the game content out. So in terms of like when that's coming, I think it's still a ways out. I think, let's see, just thinking through the various things that we're going to be working on. Yeah, I don't think you'd be seeing that like as within at least like the next 4 kind of major features that we release. So it'll still be a while before we turn our attention to that, but it's not forgotten. It's just like I said, it's been kind of put as a lower priority right now. We're keeping our resources focused on just expanding the game and getting kind of the major pieces in place. So. Yeah, I think that answers everything.
Indeed. Thank you, sir. All right. Let's see. Any thoughts on having a system to build deck groups of cards to where you could separate like your best heroes or your fishers or your foragers, etc. So kind of like the tagging system that we have discussed before. Beetle Dude, thoughts?
Yes, I have thoughts. Yeah, I think like the tagging specifically has been talked about quite a bit. We basically have like the login system in place that we need to make that happen. It's just a matter of finding time to work out what the UI would look like. We've also talked quite a bit about possibly having a list view for heroes, which I think would help with management quite a bit without having the cards cluttering up most of the screen. So that might be maybe a first iteration that we would look at, would be having some kind of list view that would make it easier to see more heroes at one time. And yeah, I think we're definitely going to get to a point where there's features that will really rely on that, and that'll probably be around the time that we'll put resources toward that, and that would be like travel. When we get to a point where we're doing heavier PvP or PvE situations, that's where grouping your heroes or like having a set group of 3 heroes that you travel all the time with or combat all the time would make the most sense. So if I were to kind of, I guess, put a timeline on it, it'd probably be around the time that we are focused more on areas of the game where grouping is necessary, and that would obviously also assist with times where you want to just group them arbitrarily. So yeah, that's what I'll say.
Thank you. Got another one for probably Hubert, but anybody else that has thoughts is always welcome. Is it on our radar that landowners could become dormant, making that land unused for a time, and ideas around making sure that that land is still accessible to other players?
Yeah, so this has been a topic that we've discussed in terms of like what to do if there's too many dormant lands. The thing about lands is they are an NFT and owned by a specific wallet, so we would have to be careful about what we could do about dormant lands, like kind of taking them away or trying to do something like that is very much against kind of the spirit of decentralization and like token ownership. So we would be looking more at like the ability for lands to be tended by non-owners given certain conditions, but it wouldn't actually like transfer ownership or anything if we were to do something like that. So that's kind of the thrust of the conversation we've had about that topic, though we haven't really put much energy into like actually implementing that. I think first off we'll be just working on getting the land functionality all put together, and then seeing how things are doing at that point, and if it appears like it's going to be a major problem, then we can at that point see what we can do to help ensure that lands are contributing to the game loop and everything. So yeah, I guess nothing decided at this point, but we have been talking about it.
Very nice, very nice. Let's see. When using chaos crystals during meditation, would it be possible to add to the results screen what stat the chaos crystal applied to?
So that is possible. I had been thinking about that sort of thing, not just for like chaos crystals, but just any crystal in general or any bonus in general, like being able to know if you got like a +1 to the stat because of the crystal you used or just because your standard growth rate applied. Like to do that, there would be quite a bit of additional logic that would need to be added to the contracts, and then we'd have to have the front end also be tracking that. So it is a pretty chunky piece of work to do. Not necessarily very like it's pretty straightforward, but just a lot to do there. So it's, I think, I categorize that as like a nice to have and something that I'd like to have eventually. But probably not something that's going to like take away our focus for the near term.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Let's see. A couple questions about hero sales in the future. The first one is any plans to have like more of a traditional auction style where bids are placed for the hero? Bidding wars. Fox, any thoughts on that one?
Bidding wars. We've sort of talked about it off and on since we introduced the tavern in the first place, I guess. And actually, there was actually a sort of thing that was kind of built in that allowed a similar mechanism to that, where basically you would have the price lower or increase over time. And I think that might actually still technically be possible via the smart contracts. I could be speaking wrong, but I think we did put some limits on that because some people were. Oh, it is according to Dr. Zipper. So that's a fun one if anyone wants to see if they can figure that out. But from the front end, there was some issues with that, which there was like some people that were doing different things that I won't get into because I don't want people to start doing that again. But basically, where was I going? Auctions. The traditional like place a bid auction. The tricky part of it was how do you prevent sniping? And do you have some kind of thing in there that will like automatically extend it if somebody were to bid like right at the end? Or would you have something that would say anytime somebody bids, they have to wait a certain amount of time until they bid again? There was a lot of things there that we sort of talked about. In the end, we're like, well, it already works pretty well, and we have a lot of other important things to build, so we kind of put it on the back burner. But I mean, I think it'd be interesting to look at maybe creating sort of more like a World of Warcraft or sort of something like that auction house within our game eventually. We are also actively working on the bazaar, which is really close. I've been working on that all week this week and last week and the week before. There's just a lot of things there that we have to do to make sure it's solid, but I am excited about that too. There will be some interesting things that come about from that. And right now it's just ERC 20s and ERC 1155s, but I am interested in seeing if we could figure out a way to get ERC 721, which is the NFT standards, in there. I think it's 721. I have to go check my notes. I always just call them NFTs, but yeah. Maybe is what I'll say.
Awesome. Yeah, I do also, I'll just add, I think in-game messaging, which is also on the roadmap, will be kind of a step in that direction as well, because you'll be able to reach out to players in game if you want to make offers on their heroes, that kind of thing. So I think that will also be a step in that direction at least. All right. And then the second question about hero sales in the future, thoughts on being able to sell equipped heroes. So hero plus pet, hero plus armor, whatever equipment applies as like one sale.
It's theoretically possible because right now when you bridge heroes or actually when you send heroes, there's a method you can call that will send them with all of their equipment, which includes pets. They internally are sort of counted as equipment. So I would say chances are likely that it could happen. Whether or not we would want to do that is probably another question. It does raise interesting questions about like how do you filter that with all the different options that are going to be out there, stuff like that. But I mean, if somebody wants to do it, I'm sure we could figure out a way to make it happen.
And making sure people know when they list their hero that their equipment is on it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll have to have like all these things to say, like make sure you understand that you're selling this hero with the equipment, and then there will still be some people that are confused by that and they don't understand, and then they accidentally sell their hero with equipment that they didn't mean to. It'll happen.
Yeah, definitely considerations. All right, let's see. All right, so we've actually completed our questions for the week. However, I do have a random question for everybody on the stage. Anybody that wants to chime in is welcome to. And then I believe Beetle Dude has a pretty exciting announcement for us as well. But first, the completely random question for anybody who cares to chime in. In Gen Chat, we were helping Pran plan to build a gardener for his mom. So anybody who has any advice on building a gardener, like a planter, or just gardening in general, what he should grow, etc., feel free. Current design is an 8x4 planter.
I thought you were talking about a hero that was a gardener.
No, sorry. Nope, real life.
What is real life? I have no advice.
I was hoping you were
I
going to
was
tell me what
mentioning
real life was.
I was mentioning in chat that my wife just built us a planter in the backyard that was 8x2, and she knows what she's doing, but I don't know what I'm doing, so I can't be much help. Yeah, I'll call her. Honey. No, I'm just kidding.
Strawberries.
Strawberries? Ooh, I do like strawberries.
Yeah, I'm not much of a gardener myself. My dad was or is, but yeah, I don't have much experience. But strawberries always seem like a good option to me.
Bolan, this is like the worst question you could ask this group. It's absolutely hilarious. I have gardens though, and I love fresh tomatoes. Also cucumbers and squash of any kind. Super easy, grow a ton of them. But still, Phil, this is the worst question.
That's what makes it the most fun question. Fox, I saw you'd unmuted. Did you have something?
I just had an insane suggestion to, like, why don't we take just the first random question that anyone asks in the AMA chat and answer it?
Oh God! All right, let's do this. Who's got the fastest hands? Oh, and Wowie with the copy and paste. I saw that Wowie, but fine, we'll take it. I still want to hear which potential class all the devs would personally like to see added in the future, not alpha, just for fun. If you were just able to decide this is our next class, what would it be? Who wants to go first?
I would say like Geomancer or like Red Mage or something.
Beetle Dude.
Chef.
Yes, the classic.
I don't know where it started, but I'm just jumping on the bandwagon.
Magnus, what you got?
I'm a big fan of Death Knights at WoW, though we have some similar traits on some of the heroes already. But I would add Demon Hunter to that list from WoW.
Hubert?
Necromancer would be pretty cool, I think.
Dreamer?
Sorry, unmute was hard. I mean, don't we all just really need is bards? Like, let's just stop at bard. I'm just gonna say, if we're gonna do let's do another bard maybe, or a couple more bards.
Bard 2. I like it.
Bard masterclass. That's all I'll say.
Get the string quartet going.
It could upgrade into the final form of the Shanley Man.
Yes. Sun Bear.
This is a tough one, but since I'm going with my first thought, it's going to be some kind of hybrid between a Bolon and a Risen, and there'll be some kind of like roller derby, like muscly person.
Oh God, that would be a horrifying class.
It is based on horror, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So Necromancer is definitely a big one for me as well, but since that was already said, I do think like a Lancer would be cool. Like mounted with a pole arm would be pretty awesome as well. I think that would break a lot of things, but oh well. Let's see. So there was also a question of what is love? I don't know if any of us are qualified to answer that question, but if anybody wants to take a stab at it, go for it.
Love is DFK.
Oh, that was good. That was good. We didn't even plan that. Ooh, Valkyrie would be a cool class. People would like playable bloaters as well. That would be pretty entertaining. We already have a bloater Dread Knight. All right. All right. So, after I'm not reading that out loud. All right. So, Beetle Dude, I think you have something very, very exciting for us.
I do, and it's I get to take all the credit. That's the sad part about all this. But we're gonna make Tibuku come up later anyway to join us for a bullish. But super exciting. I mentioned it in a previous AMA, maybe a little prematurely, that Typical was working on a way to run quests without having to worry about manual gas estimation. And I'm happy to say that that feature is tested and ready to deploy soon. Maybe even today. But essentially, no more counting up your gas. You just do up all the things and then you run them. And I wish it was gasless, but it is not gasless. But it will break up your quests into as many transactions as you need, so you don't have to worry about your gas estimations. And it sounds like it does it in a nice, efficient way. And it is going to be amazing, and I'm super excited about it, and I hope other people are too. This would be for starting and completing quests, so no more clicking all the buttons. Just, I guess you still have to click a couple, but then you just send them all out. So yeah, hopefully people are super excited about that. I'm stoked. I'm ready for it. Typical wasn't able to remove all buttons confirmed. You still have to click some. But yeah, that should be coming out hopefully in the next day or two, and we'll make an announcement and get people hyped about that, hopefully. Nice job, Typical. Big shout out to you for doing that.
No more clicking as many buttons. Less buttons.
Yes, less bad.
That is extremely exciting, though. I think that'll be a great quality of life. Huge shout out to Typical. Typical has become the master of multi. which is just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. If you are in our community and you don't give Typical a lot of credit, you're wrong and give Typical a lot of credit. So kudos to Typical again. But yeah, I believe that is everything for this week. Make sure y'all keep submitting questions. The talk.defykingdoms.com site, as well as the AMA questions channel here in Discord, and we will make sure that we keep answering them. What's up? Thank you for the reminder. Don't ape into broken mechanics. But other than that, anybody have any closing comments that they want to give? We've got a little bit of time if anybody has anything they want to talk about.
Just need Typical to come up here before it's too late. Typical! Nice. You don't have to talk if you don't want to, but you can help us bully.
I like that idea.
But welcome.
Hi.
Awesome. Well, Typical. Take it away and bullish us out.
Cool. Alrighty, well, with this front-end multi-questing rework stuff finally heading out the door for release tonight, super happy for that. And I guess not to mention all of these other awesome features we're working on, I have to say I'm feeling really bullish. Thanks, everyone.
Bullish!
Bullish!
Typical bullish!
Bullish.